What is going on, you guys? It's your boy, Gnooze These Nuts here, and we're back with episode 51. It's been a couple days. Apologies if you hear thunder roaring in the background or just some slight ambient background noise. My fan is on the lowest setting. I didn't turn all the way off, but hopefully it's not too much of an obstruction. But yeah, back making a video. It's been a while since I've done one of these. Like I've said before, I think there's some catharsis I feel in recording these, even if it's truly just a man shouting into the void, problems that don't really exist. Although I try to think about these not as just me venting about problems, and more just kind of just thinking about things, considering different philosophies and different ideas, and kind of my own little safe space to I don't know, to consider things in a way that is not that creates a backlog of sorts, because I can always look back at these videos and decide that I was, an extremist or something later. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, back making one of these. Have some interesting things I'd like to talk about. So let's see, what's the first thing I want to talk about here? Not that I care about how I'm seen socially, but I think we'd all rather be seen as a I don't know. There's some people that just like appreciate being normal, and they like being normal. They like considering themselves normal. They like doing all kinds of normal things, and in many ways I am very normal. There are, like, it's not like I'm a contrarian to the extent that, Jesus Christ, that is a lot of thunder. It's not like I'm a contrarian to the extent that every single thing I must do has to be different. But I'm noticing more and more, I kind of feel more and more like the weirdo in a lot of ways. And this isn't just about like the things I do, or there's not really any physical configurations that make me weird, but rather just my philosophy on things. I quickly feel like the weirdo, whether I am or not. So, like, the fact that there's just so many kind of quote unquote normal social things that I just could not care less about and kind of disregard, and even the fact that I kind of willingly choose to ignore a number of quote unquote normal social stuff, not even just out of principle, and the fact that I don't. I think normalizing everything all the time can be a slippery slope, only because you don't always know for certain the direction that you're moving. But anyway, and so I thought of this idea between being seen as, or even just being really a mad genius or the bumbling idiot, right? Everyone would rather be the mad genius over the bumbling idiot, but I reason that there is often not much of a difference. They often seem intertwined with one another. It's often difficult, I think, if you gave me or gave somebody a mad idiot, a mad genius and a bumbling idiot, they would look similar in a lot of ways, right? And I don't know. I think I'd obviously rather be seen as the mad genius or the bumbling idiot, but there's just not that much of a difference between them, I don't think. So it's oh, Jesus Christ, this is annoying. So it's interesting, and I suppose it's just from a desire to not to be ordinary, that you either have to, in many ways, be considered, an outcast, and in a lot of ways you either look like a mad genius or a bumbling idiot. I don't know. I think the desire to not conform is powerful. Is a powerful driving force behind my motivations in a lot of ways. Only because it's the way I see an interesting life, right? A life that's interesting to me is not one that is easily forgotten, and the more normal stuff and the more forgettable, like who wants to lead I mean, ultimately most lives are forgettable in the sense that you're dead and then forgotten, so it doesn't quite matter what you're doing. But I would rather live audaciously and boldly in that time, because if I'm going to be forgotten, I might as well, I don't know, do something interesting, right? Doing the same, like, why would I do the same thing that's already been done, and I know how it ends? And I guess some people try to gamify the human experience to make it like all this pleasure and pain. And I don't think they've come to the realization yet that it, try as they might, it doesn't end, right? They're, even if they make $1 billion, they're still going to find stuff to bitch and complain about. They're still going to want more, right? I mean, think about even just these billionaires that people, I hear this all the time. People go, oh, well, if I had that much money, I'd just sit on a beach all day and relax, and I would chill. If you watch some of these old interviews with the people that have $1 billion, they're saying the same thing. But guess what? No, it's not enough. Whatever you have now is not enough. Whatever they have now isn't enough. It's never enough. And I think people kind of make all these decisions based off of trying to get to some perfect configuration with their life, or this life where it's all, it's all good, everything's stable, but it's just not how it works, right? I think it's kind of a, I don't know, kind of a fruitless pursuit to be pursuing that. So I just kind of embrace this ambiguity that is what I believe to be a natural order, natural cause of things, is that there's just a lot of non-answers out there, and a lot of ambiguity that you just have to live with. And I don't know, so much of people's lives are determined, and this is kind of what I conjecture on this regard. It's not any kind of factual, evidence-based thing. I mean, I don't know. It's just, I guess nothing really is at this level. But their lives are driven by the fear of things getting worse and the hope of things getting better. And I'm kind of arguing that I think the fear of getting worse is often overblown, and is either overblown or non-existent in a lot of ways. And the hope of it getting better kind of doesn't recognize the fact that better what? Like, I mean, I think objectively you can like eat more expensive food, or you can, I guess if you're eating really bad food, but a lot of these changes that are like quote unquote better, right? That might have, I guess more money involved, or you're throwing more money at a problem, aren't better, right? I think, there's the quality of life that a lot of people strive for beyond what they have to make things better doesn't make things better, right? If anything, it gives them more things to worry about. And I guess this is why I kind of adopt a functionalist, minimalist approach to things, in the sense that I as people get money and they try to improve their lives, they just obtain. It's just items, just so much stuff. They just have all kinds of stuff. They have all these clothes, they have all these gadgets, they have all this stuff, and then they think that each new gadget, or each new thing, or each new release of new whatever, new music, all of it is just going to solve some problem. And it just really just ends up, it's the equivalent of giving you salty water, right? You're going to drink it and you're going to immediately want more water, right? And you're just going to be waiting more for water. I'm going to hand you another bottle of water and it's going to be more salt water. It's the same thing. So I guess part of what I'm doing, I guess keeping that metaphor in place, is trying to reject the salty water. I don't need to get more stuff and get more of this. And I'm just kind of fighting this desire. I think that's as a very Buddhist view on things. Like, I think the Buddhists take a view that like life is suffering, but it's driven by desires, right? We all just desire stuff all the time. And I think if I'm again quoting I guess the religion correctly, the nirvana is translates to the absence of desire, right? You no longer desire whatever it is that it is. So sometimes it's I guess it's desire from the absence of suffering. And I find, I guess, catharsis in that view, and AKA I agree with it, because it, I don't know, it just seems very prevalent that people all just want new stuff, and they just they do all this stuff to just get more stuff, and it's often, I just don't, I don't buy it that it's just that fulfilling. I suppose I don't believe you if somebody says that, me making $200,000 a year is twice as good as somebody making $100,000 a year. And I think and this is especially, I think people that are the true victims of this are the ones that are on like the fringe. Let's say they don't make, because people think at $200,000 is a lot of money. Even $100,000 is a lot of money, whatever. Suppose that they make like, I don't know, 50K or something like that. And they have this carrot dangling in front of them that, your quality of life will improve so greatly if you make 75, or if you just make, 65 or 70, or just a little bit more. Like it's the people on the fringe I think are the true victims of all that, of this quality of life threshold. I just think so much of it is internal, and people always try to fight these internal or these external battles, right? It's always, I need to get more money. I need to ask my manager for a raise. I need to switch jobs. I need to, move to a different, it's all these external stuff. When I think the true problems are, it's not an external problem. It's internal, right? It's between your ears. That's the real problem. It's not a matter of you needing to make more money or do more stuff. I don't know. It's very much a viewpoint that I am just very, very often at odds with, just with people I'm around. Maybe constantly. It's something that it just seems to always be the topic of conversation, is the improvement in these external circumstances that are the main foci of people's lives, that I just find to be obnoxious. But anyway, I'll move on from that. Something I think I've been truly, I hate using this word, but it's a very Gen Z word, but red pilled on, and this just implies that my eyes have really been opened, is so the free software movement and its I guess constituencies and its philosophy. It's truly something I guess I come around on a lot. I think some of my older videos kind of poked at and made fun of, not really to a serious extent, because I've always been wary of things. I've always just been skeptical, right? And I think part of being skeptical was just like assuming a 50-50 balance of, harm and good. I guess it's like, not that bad, right? So, I didn't really, you don't really understand the severity of something as a skeptic. You just kind of doubt that it is as bad as people say or is as good as people say. You just assume it's somewhere in the middle. And I think with the, the growth of a lot of these technology companies that I guess govern so much of our lives, I've discovered a lot more that it's a lot closer to what a lot of, kind of these free software evangelists say. And so I think I've come around a bit on that. And maybe it's just like a phase. I don't know. But as someone that works in a technology field, it's hard to not see it now. Or not see all of the problematic nature of it all now. Whereas before, I just don't think I was that knowledgeable, honestly. And it's actually just shocking how I considered myself tech savvy and was always like the person who could fix the computer problems. But to the extent that I didn't understand the technology is almost laughable. Like it's shocking. Even just like in the last 12 months. How much I didn't know and how much I was just blissfully unaware of how things worked. Not all the sense of like, Windows is spyware or whatever, but even just like how to use a computer properly, like what it is, right? I was just so far abstracted from its how to actually use it and what it does and what it can do and what people use it for and how it's used and, the business models of companies that rely on technology and computers. And I guess just from the amount I've learned in the last 12 months, it's been shocking to say the least. And I now am a free software advocate. So I don't know. It's tough being in that I guess this position in some ways, because I think some people just remain blissfully unaware of the problems that arise from of proprietary software, but others are prompted with either the, you look away and we'll pay you this much money kind of thing, and that's honestly what it is a lot in this industry, and especially even talking to employers, I think some people, some students that are more apt are aware that what they're doing for the salary isn't the fact that their job is so valuable, or this AI engineer is so so lucrative, they deserve $300,000 a year, or whatever their stupid salaries are. But it's almost just they're like, okay, we know how I guess the potential of a lot of this software, and we'll pay you to just work on it and not don't be a dissenter, right, kind of thing, which is kind of a scary position for people to be in, especially young college grads who. You're giving them a decision very early on in their life to decide to, live for morals and, kind of have to reject money. And because it's I guess because so many people care about the whole materialist, I guess, view on just life. His life is getting the house and getting all this stuff, and kind of checking off these boxes. It's the easy and kind of default answer is to just say, well, to hell with any potential moral quandary or anything like that. I'm gonna get my money and and I'll be happy. I think. And I don't know. It's not that I wish them. I wish they're not happy because of the decision that they may have made, but I just don't. I think you come to regret it, kind of thing. So either you kind of choose to ignore it and remain in a blissful state, and I don't know. It does kind of draw a quick a apt analogy to the whole Matrix, red pill, blue pill thing, which is I hate saying it only because it seems overused at this point, but it is quite an apt analogy, I think. And some people are like that dude that was tempted to go back and was like, fuck it. I'd rather want to be an actor or whatever he said. I don't remember, but I don't know what his name was. I don't really care. But anyway, it's unfortunate. So I don't know. I'm an advocate of free software, and I am, I guess, trying in every way that I can in my current configuration to not further aid and abet the behaviors of companies that are increasingly forging control over our personal domains. And I don't know, part of this just makes me like I hate even using this terminology, but like an advocate for freedom. And I hate using the word freedom for several reasons, because some people just associate it with just, I don't know, barbecue and beer or something like that, but that's not really the nature of it. And it's not, and in other ways, people think of the freedom or like the right to privacy as some like, you must be doing illegal stuff, or you must, want to set off fireworks in your backyard or something like that. There's like this almost redneck view of freedom as an idea. And I think freedom in some ways being politicized, like people, if somebody, says they're fighting for freedom, it almost sounds political in many contexts. And it's unfortunate. I don't want, I feel like that is a very unfortunate result of our language and our political commentary, because I think freedom is an innate human desire. It's not necessarily freedom to like do anything you want all the time, but more so just like the autonomy of it. I think a lack of freedom compromises autonomy, and humans desire autonomy naturally. They want to have control over their own things. And if we look at, I guess, data to support something I'm doing here, not that everything I'm saying is data driven. It's just not true. A lot of this is anecdotal, but people, despite the highest quality of life we've ever had, despite the wealthiest the collective humans have ever been, despite more stuff and more everything that we've ever had, people are more and more depressed. It's like an all-time high across the world. And some people just look at that and go, well, people aren't grateful, or people need to, accept Jesus or something, and all, they'll be grateful. And I'm not saying that's not true. I think, maybe that is a solution. But I think we've sacrificed so much of, we sacrificed kind of our freedom and our autonomy in exchange for these material things that we were sold as being, reasons why we're unhappy. Right? We're unhappy because we need a bigger house. We're unhappy because we need the new whatever. Kind of just buying and watching stuff. And we need to buy more stuff and watch more stuff, and that wasn't the solution. I think the solution is we need autonomy over our work. We need to do stuff that's meaningful and important and hard. And of course, you could gaslight yourself into, thinking that whatever you're doing is, important or hard or making a difference or something. But in many cases, that's a delusion only some can accept, right? So let's say I work for, Microsoft's cloud AI team or some BS like that. I'm sure there are plenty of people on that team that convince themselves that, more or less they're doing the Lord's work kind of thing. It's like, their job is very critical and they're very important. They're, producing good for humanity because they make a bunch of money and they work at Microsoft. They get to wear the t-shirt and they get, company potlucks, and, they get the new versions of the OS when they get all this like. But I'm not fooled by that. I know that most of what they're doing is so pigeonholed and so abstracted into just a morsel of impact, and is invisible to most people. And invisible even to themselves, that they're just kind of just, taking the money and using that to fill the hole, fill the void in their soul that they have, because they're not doing things that are fulfilling, right? And I think people are struggling to convince themselves that what they do is fulfilling, because we have no sense of craftsmanship. So much of what we create, I think, like I said, creation, I think, is just an important human tenet, is either so far abstracted from us, or just is creating like meaningless or pointless or counterintuitive products, if you're going to call them that that people are struggling to convince themselves that work. And I think that's why we're seeing so much depression, just because people are, maybe coming to terms, whether it's something, whether they know it or not. I think they're kind of realizing that what they're doing is stupid and pointless and doesn't matter. And we've seen this just in the overall decrease of religion as a whole. People just can't find meaning in what they're doing. And I think a lot of that comes from this abstraction from our creation. So I don't know. It reminds me of these tenets that, and of course I would be ostracized for quoting this, but Ted Kaczynski, the dude who had a house in the woods and was mailing bombs to people, in his manifesto or book, I guess it's manifesto sounds. I think manifesto is more of like this person's a murderer word that people use, but you could also call it a book, I suppose. But he talked about, and it's just an interesting part, I thought. So I'm not throwing the baby out with the bathwater here. I think there was obviously what he did is reprehensible, and I mean the guy's dead now, so whatever. But it doesn't ignore the fact that he made some poignant points about things. And one thing that I'm going to outline here is he separated three types of drives towards like the goal attainment cycle. So we interact with this paradigm all the time, right? When we work to accomplish something, right? We have a goal. We do some work to reach it, and then we move on to the next one. That's just kind of, we operate in that paradigm a lot, whether it's a work thing or it doesn't even matter what that is. It could be anything. Anyway, he categorized them into three distinct categories that I think are really interesting and might paint a picture of what, it's kind of emblematic of what I was just talking about. But so the first category is are goals or drives that require like easy to no effort, right? So this would be the equivalent of gathering food, right? Gathering food now, I mean, if you live in a wealthy country, and I assume if you're listening to this, you're in a wealthy country and you have food, because otherwise, why are you on YouTube, or Odyssey, actually. Getting food is laughably easy, right? Even if you don't have any money, you just can open a credit card and you can buy as much food as you want. You don't have to, like, we're abstracted from the process of us producing food. Like, you don't have to kill the chicken. Like, maybe you have to crack an egg to cook it, but if you didn't want to, you wouldn't have to. You could go buy a sandwich that's ready to eat. The equivalent of us getting to our food is, the biggest thing that stands in front of a lot of people is just packaging, right? Taking the wrapper off of the McDonald's burger and eating it is the equivalent of our ancestors, plucking the feathers off of a chicken or catching it, plucking it, and roasting it and eating it. And so I'm not saying it's all bad and we should just go back to eating all our food by hand. I'm just saying this is an example of something that we do that requires easy to no effort. The second drive, which I think he's insinuating is like in the important one here, is drives that require like it's possible, but it's very difficult, right? These are, maybe think about like a blacksmith creating a sword. That's like the example I love, just because I don't know, I always liked the Pirates movies, and it was, if I were living in the old days, I'd want to be like a blacksmith, because it'd be awesome. I get to like be the craftsman making swords. But the start to finish, the process is arduous. You have to have the skills to wield. It's dangerous. You have to, use the fire and smash the iron. I don't even know how it works, but it's a difficult process, but it's possible, right? And it's rewarding at the end, because you have a physical, object of your work. You have the sword, and you can take pride knowing that it was a difficult task and you achieved it. It's like people like sign up for triathlons and stuff. It's because it's like a hard thing that they want to do. You see this with like people who do Ironmans. It's why even sign up for that? Well, you could just, it's easier not to, but they want something difficult to do that's possible, right? So that's kind of the second category, and that's like where the sweet spot is. That's what people, should, be living for, kind of, in a way. And the third category is stuff that's just impossible, right? Like, I put like curing world hunger by myself kind of realm. It's literally impossible. Or like, it's like going to the NBA, right? I love basketball, but there's just literally no chance I'm getting to the NBA. There's just, there's no amount of, even all the work in the world and all the steroids could not get me into the NBA because it's just not going to happen. And sure, you could, make caveats, but you get what I'm saying here. The general point is that these are tasks that are simply impossible, right? And I guess Kaczynski's point in his writings was that we have too many of the first and the third category. There's too many activities, either one are just so hilariously easy that it's almost insulting, right? Taking the wrapper off your burger to eat it is how difficult it is to get food. Or they're just literally impossible, like, curing racism or something, or solving racism. Like, that's like a enormous, nebulous, like, kind of poorly defined, but incredibly difficult, like, thing to do. But that's what people fixate on. That's kind of what they're trying to dedicate their lives to. And it's no wonder that they are not satisfied, because how are you, like, it's a ridiculously hard task to do, right? It's way easier to the equivalent of making a sword or something or doing a triathlon, right? It's possible, right? And I suppose, I guess you could make the argument that, if only people changed, then we'd be able to solve racism or something like that. But either way, I'm giving an example of a problem that is basically impossible, right? For functional reasons in your lifetime. It's almost impossible. So we have to just kind of curate these, these kind of bogus concepts that allow us to feel justified in our work. And a lot of it is kind of stupid. And so I think that's kind of just the death of the craftsman, and we've lost so much of that we're seeing. That's why we're seeing all this depression. So it's not that, life is objectively easier now than it was, but life is now less rewarding than it was too. And I think, do you live life? Do you want just an easy life or a rewarding one? And, always sacrificing, rewards because it's easy, or sacrificing stuff to make life easy is, I think, is a fool's game. Of course you're going to be depressed. So, I don't know, people have replaced these kind of type 2 drives and have found things that kind of fit those molds. I think maybe like, I don't know, sexual conquest might be a type 2 drive for people. It's a difficult task to, if you're out there chasing tail or something like that. I don't know. It kind of depends on the person, but people have found these strange ways and these strange things to fixate on, to kind of fill these holes that we have with a limitation on these kind of type 2 drives. And I'm not saying that I'm totally absolved of this, obviously, like, I'm not, but I just think in general it's a very interesting and helpful framework to look at kind of a lot of these modern problems that people are facing with kind of the depression epidemic and people, doing whatever. So I guess things that I could do to even remedy this, again, I'm not going to pick some nebulous problem to work towards, like, I want to solve world hunger. It's like, good luck with that. I mean, for God's sakes, if belief alone is what gets you there, then, I'm sorry I'm holding you back, but I don't see that being an attainable thing. And even so, like, let's say, we were able to feed everyone, then if everyone's fed all the time, we're going to be reproducing more, and soon enough we'll have a number of mouths to feed that we can't, like, there's a certain carrying capacity to the planet we live on. So unless you're kind of banking on us, Elon getting to Mars and all that stuff, you're kind of digging us a bigger hole by keeping more people alive. And it's unfortunate that is like a conclusion I can come to. And I'm probably an a-hole for proposing that people starving to death is the reason that I have food. But Fine, stop eating, right? I mean, you quit eating and ship all your food to Africa or something. I don't know. I think kind of focusing on those problems is merely just as much of a distraction as a lot else, and it's these type 2 drives that we kind of yearn for, and I don't know, we will be unfulfilled if we only pursue type 1 or these type 3 drives, because you're not really going to make any meaningful progress. I guess you could, again, kind of delude yourself into thinking that you're making progress if you feed 100 people, but in reality, like, the scale at which you're working is so minuscule that whatever you do in your lifetime is not going to matter. And that isn't like a knock on people who are doing it. I mean, again, more power to you, but I just think be realistic about people's impact would lead you to logically conclude that you're not, what you're doing isn't that impactful. But anyway, no, it's interesting, but whatever. I don't know. I try to accept I don't know, I kind of adapt a number of different philosophies when it comes to that kind of fulfillment side of life. I kind of recognize that nothing's ever going to be enough for anyone all the time, and I can kind of, I can run around and say, well, once this happens, it'll be enough. Once this happens, it'll be enough. So I try to just say, even right now, there's obviously a lot of moving parts in my life and things that I wish weren't the case. But on the same side of things, I'm fine, right? It's not... whatever be my problems in 3 years, it'll just replace the problems I'm having now, both in terms of their intensity and of their relevance in my thinking. So just the fact that compared to others, my problems might be bad or be good or whatever, that it still doesn't, it's not a solution to the underlying thing that we're going to have problems, period. And people just kind of ignore that. So I actively choose to not ignore the fact that I think my life's fine right now. Again, there are probably things that I would say I want to change, but honestly, it's not going to matter once I've kind of solved these problems I have. But I don't know. I guess the other thing, while I'm, I guess quoting the Unabomber, I might as well get off some of my more racy takes here. Suicidal ideation. Now, the first thing that comes to mind when I say that is, somebody standing on the edge of a building thinking about jumping off. And I'm not suicidal. I just want to make that very clear. If I am hanging from my prison cell, it was not a suicide. I'm not gonna make an Epstein joke there, but I kind of already did. But I think there's a difference between thinking about killing yourself and considering the world without you in it. Again, the semantics are very important there with the wording. There's a difference between thinking about killing yourself and imagining the world without you in it, right? So I think, and this is kind of my racy take here, I think that it is normal, and it is not necessarily should be encouraged, but I think it's natural, and I think it will happen. It happens to everybody at some point in their life, where they imagine a world without them in it. Some people, it's just like the recognition of their mortality, right, in some ways. But I think even more important than that, it's just even right now. Let's say you ceased to exist. You didn't, it wasn't battling depression and then you kill yourself. No, you just ceased to exist. What the world goes on is kind of what you may conclude from that analysis. And again, I don't think I think it's a very... It's a healthy hypothetical at times. Again, it's not one that you should be thinking about all the time. It's just if your only thought is about the world without you in it, I think that is bordering suicidal ideation. But in general, the thought of what would the world be like without me right now is taken as a hypothetical. Again, not as a practicum. This is an assignment. No. I think that is a normal thought to have. I think it gives. It should give you an amount of perspective, and in my life, it's given me some renewed vigor to do something, right? It can be a motivation at times, not in the sense that I'm a loser, I don't do anything. What would the world like be without me? But more so, realizing that your screw ups are insignificant. It doesn't matter what you do or how stupid you feel or how important you think certain things are in your life. with you not there, it's besides from maybe some small changes to other people around you. For the most part, the world doesn't care. So be bold. That's kind of my conclusion from it. Is not like this doomer, like, oh no, I guess I should just lock myself in I could just lock myself in my room and do nothing and just eat food and get fat. No, I think be bold. Try stuff. I mean, fail valiantly. Like, do it confidently, right? If you're thinking about it in terms of a metaphor, you have a blindfold on, just run around, hit a wall, fall down. Like, it's not, and I don't think it's I don't think it's a mentality that needs to be, it's so closely associated, and it's so, I don't know, everybody immediately, the moment you even mention the words thinking about the world without you in it, everyone just thinks, oh, get him to a hospital, pump it full of lithium, he needs to be, he needs to be happy all the time, happy. No, I think it's a sobering fact of reality, right? So it's not like I'm just making something up and I'm diluting, or I think that God's going to rain hellfire on people. That's not what I'm even, it's a fact. But it's a helpful exercise to recognize that your mistakes and your shortcomings don't fucking matter. So you should take that as inspiration to do whatever, follow things, take risks, do things that are bold, do things that defy society and defy your parents or whatever, whoever your boogeyman is, right? Defy your girlfriend that, what, I don't even know what it is. It doesn't matter. But it's not an excuse to do nothing. It's an excuse to do more and to try more and to fail and to realize that, you could poof and disappear, right? Someone could drop a nuke on you and you could poof, you're gone. Like, it's not a reason to be schizo and worry about some nuke dropping you all the time. Just, cherish, time saved is not as important as time cherished. So cherish the time. Do something interesting. Why would you, if you recognize your mortality and realize that, again, the world goes on without you, in a lot of ways it's ambivalent towards your existence. Nature doesn't care. The grizzly bear will eat you. Why would you be timid in your actions? Why would you, play things safe? And I think a part of it is what I talked about earlier, is the fear of things getting worse and the hope for things getting. No, it's just we're scared of stuff. Why be scared of any? I think it should absolve you from fear, thinking in that regard. And I'm glad that I spend time in my days considering my mortality and the world without me, because it gives me some spice. It gives me some, again, it absolves me from some of this fear that I think looms over people to such an extent. They want to hoard money and they want to hoard real estate and get all this stuff. So it doesn't matter what happens. They have a nuclear bunker to support them, or that they're like trying to hedge these bets and like they're betting on all this stuff. Be bold. Why? I mean, you're scared. You're scared. That's what you're doing. Hoarding all this wealth and building up this big security to make sure that no matter what happens, everything's going to be no. And here's the reality of it. And here's kind of the sadistic part of me coming out. To some of these people, I hope that the world comes down on them. That the Lady Luck, Fortuna, the gods, whoever you want to put your higher power in, come down and absolve them of all of their material possessions and everything they're hoarding, all their safety, all their stuff that they're fighting their life to beat death and to cheat, all this stuff. I hope it just comes down and gets them, and they have nothing, and they're reduced to the same thing that everybody else is just a human doing stuff. So you have no reason to be so conservative in your thoughts, your actions, your ideologies, and to limit all of it to what is safe, or what is, why be safe? Why? I mean, again, the practical person in me is barking, but and yeah, I'm sure I'm not saying to liquidate your savings to buy an electric guitar or something like that, or something dumb. I think there's, again, there's a level of nuance you have to apply here, but I think in general, again, speaking in general, people are scared of what might what happens if I do this. Oh, boss man's gonna get me, or oh no, what if I lose my job? It's like that's just not a helpful. It's not a helpful. Hedging against these bets constantly. You're always just gonna be scared of what could happen. What could happen. Just live and roll with the punches and be adaptable. If you get fired from your job, great, go get another one, right? Lose your leg, fine. biggest, baddest, one-legged motherfucker there is. There's no point in being sad and trying to, I don't know, reinforce your legs with iron so they don't break or something like that. No, you could break your leg. A shark could bite it off and it'd be done, right? Why would you spend your whole time scared of losing your legs instead of using them? Go run around. You have legs, right? I don't know. It's just, I think being scared is just such a prevalent emotion in people, and they just live by it. They're scared of this and that happening, and I will make, and I hope it comes back to bite me, that I should have been more scared of Boss Man. I should have been more scared of me losing my legs. And no, because I don't think it matters. I'm gonna live audacious. I'm gonna do bold stuff. I'm gonna try stuff. I'm gonna make stuff. I'm going to, Jesus Christ, that's a big clap of thunder. I'm gonna live. Not on the edge per se of doing like ill-advised activities, but I'm saying I'm in my work and in my ways. I'm gonna be intense and be, especially, when I'm younger, be risky with things. You always have everything to lose all the time. So there's no point in always only thinking of your losses. So I don't know. It kind of also depends on who you are. I think if you're someone who's very, very risk averse, this advice kind of applies to you. But some people just generally have a knack for, like, naturally they just don't care about any of the consequences. And there's a difference between not seeing consequences and being a bitch, basically. So I'm really just talking to the bitches here who struggle to, they just get pushed around a lot. They don't do anything. They kind of just get stuck in these ruts. And no, I'm mostly talking to them. I think certain people kind of have an inbuilt, like, kind of the I don't give a fuck about nothing mentality, which I think is can put people off in the right direction. But anyway, I don't know. Next, I want to talk about currency. It's very interesting. It's a thought I had. Again, I think it'd be something to go down deeper into the rabbit hole if I had a lot of time and stuff to think about it. But I think the currency of our digital age is not money. It is trust. And what I mean by that is, I think, like, if you look at, think about celebrities and stuff that advertise stuff, or your favorite YouTuber that shills VPN stuff. It's all kind of built on this the backbone of trust, right? Do you trust a person? I guess it could be true of, all kinds of business and things, that trust is kind of the backbone of everything. But it's I think a currency that is more in demand now, because we we use it as a litmus test for everything that we purchase and spend our time on are things that we trust. Especially now that the internet has provided some amount of, for people at least, despite the efforts of the governments and tech corporations, it is the anonymity of people. But even trust in something like government is its own commodity, right? Trust in a currency is what our whole financial system is built off of. The trust that, this dollar is worth anything is the reason it does anything. But I think even more important than now, it's kind of is being eroded in a lot of ways. People are, I'm pretty sure they're not voting as much as they used to. Again, someone could look up the stats on that if they wanted to. But and I think even general, less than like half people vote in these democratic elections, quote unquote, probably because they just don't trust in any of it. They just don't. They kind of have lost faith in the entire system, and faith in different things. In the moment, when people lose faith in the dollar, the economists will tell you that it's a bank run. And looking at just digital commodities especially, it's all kind of built on trust. Do you trust this person shilling your product? Do you trust their what they say? And I guess the issue is that we're able, in the past, there's only so much you could, it's only really the true sociopaths and the psychopaths that can curate an in-person, fallible image of a trustworthy person, right? I think like the American Psycho kind of, person that you trust, but like is ultimately like has malintent. But with online technology, you get as many times as you want to re-record the video and to cater your quote-unquote authentic self to be of maximal trustworthiness, right? And this is something that is why I think it's kind of going to be taking over our space, is this idea of trust, is that we you it's all curated images, right? There's very few authentic, as things are, voices on I guess the internet that are mainstream. At least I think a lot of these smaller creators that are truly authentic are the ones that don't get their algorithms that index their content is not rewarded, right? Because why would you, if you were Google or YouTube or something, why would you index a site or video very high up if it was like, if it was, all 18 failed takes of something, and, as well as like, it's pure uncut footage, right? The footage is all now curated, it's filtered, it's cut, it's edited, all to provide the best image, your best foot forward at all times. But the issue is it kind of gives people the assumption that you're always like this best foot forward. That's like you all the time, is always this best foot forward. You're always, and like, let's say you're, I don't know, a social advocate of some kind, and you make videos on, I don't know, social advocacy, right? And you always talk about advocating for these. And then, of course, it comes out that, you're a huge scumbag and you've said all this ridiculous stuff and people just can't believe it. Oh, my God. It's because you've only seen them, in their curated way, right? I think if you actually knew them in real life, you knew that they put on this big facade when they're, the influencer during this, when they're recording the videos. And now it's just come to life, and now people can't believe it. They would have said something so bad, or they would have violated their principles or something, or whatever. But it's not surprising at all. Like, I mean, as you're not really rewarded for putting your authentic self out there. And I hate the idea of these authentic self. Oh, here's me without makeup. I think what people consider to be, this is the authentic self, is a lot of it is also malarkey. So I think there's even a marketing subset of this authentic self that people try to market as themselves as being authentic, but it's also all bullshit, right? The example that comes to mind for me are like comedians that I've seen on YouTube and things, because I like, comedy's funny. I think it's one kind of way of dealing with the absurdities of life. But I also have to kind of remind myself that these people they're not funny all the time. Right, it's not like living with a comedian. I'd just be, wheezing in laughter 24/7. They're probably, most of their day, they're probably just not like that, right? It's a curated image. And now, granted, their jokes can be authentic, right? They can kind of say things that are racy, but to only view them, you've only seen them in one context, right? Like, just imagine your favorite content creator, doing laundry or doing the dishes, right? Or, doing something mundane, like going grocery shopping, right? And I think people just tend to abstract that from people and don't realize that most of the time, that's just not them, right? Of course, I guess even myself in this curated image, I'm not always playing Minecraft, right? I guess even before this video, I hadn't played for like 8 days, but if your assumption about me was that, so imagine me doing laundry, that I'm just playing Minecraft. No, like there's a whole even side of me that is not presented here. And obviously I think this is an attempt at being as authentic as possible, but that's clearly not rewarded in this, even, whether it's I'm not interesting or the algorithms are designed that way. But even if it were, it still would not be a perfectly accurate representation of me. And I'm not arguing that we have to have perfect representations of everybody. I think people don't recognize that it's always curated image, right? So the next time you're kind of looking at or the content creator does something terrible, or whatever, or even if they don't do anything bad, just imagine them doing laundry, or imagine them going grocery shopping, or imagine them lifting weights, or imagine them stubbing their toe or something like that. And think about the context that you normally see them in. They do all the same. Everybody poops. That kind of mentality where it's people aren't on this pedestal. Oh, I cannot believe they would ever do. You know what I mean? I think one of my favorite bits around that and kind of that mentality is it was actually a comedian. It was Daniel Tosh. He had a joke about like people that I guess shoot up schools and stuff like that. The people would go on the news and be like, "Oh my God, I would never imagine he's such he's a quiet, nice guy." And he's like, you can't think of anything more insulting. He said, my mom could blow up a nursery, and the next day I could be on TV and be like, yeah, I can see it, and I think that's, not, obviously that's like a dramatized, funny example, but why are we like? I think we're misconstruing so many people's images of people. These aren't humans, and it's not even that I'm arguing that like they're like there's because obviously some people are more inauthentic than others, but they aren't human. Like what you're seeing as a curated image is not a whole human, right? It is one very very specific side of human. Think about like a your favorite athlete, right? These are people that you only see on TV. Tom Brady. Tom Brady is not like always throwing a football. He's not always making plays. He's not always I guess covered in lotion and doing a modeling for the guy is like most of the time. In fact, most of the time, he's just doing normal shit. He's taking a dump. He's washing his hands. He's eating. Maybe he's doing his laundry. These are like normal activities and just authentic, regular human shit that everybody does that is just ignored. I'm not saying that we should, have a new channel where we just watch Tom Brady do laundry, but I'm saying we tend to like view things, absolutely. If we only ever see somebody doing laundry, we assume that's the only thing that they do. Or we only ever see somebody throwing a football, we assume that that's kind of the extent of like, but that's not a human, right? That's one abstraction of what a human does in one context, which is incredibly limiting. So it kind of causes us to the inability to compartmentalize when people do things, oh my God, I can't believe he said that, or just can't believe somebody did this or did that. It's like, but they poop just like anybody else does. That kind of thinking. It's kind of a stupid example, but hopefully you get my point. I don't know. It's annoying to see the lack of authenticity to a fault, because authenticity isn't really rewarded. Uncut footage is not rewarded, right? If they had an uncut movie where it was a Marvel movie, except they didn't put all the special effects, and Captain America was on a bulking phase and so he was kind of chubby, no one would watch that, right? They only want to watch this curated the curated result, the best of the best of the best. But we only ever see the best. We just think we're pieces of shit all the time because we wash our hands and do laundry, right? But that's not authentic. That's not a human. That is a simple abstraction of what a human does. So I don't know. It's an interesting thought. I could probably go further, but I'll wrap it up for today there. So hopefully it wasn't too extremist for you. But anyway, yeah, use free software. Take it easy. Later.